We did
to work with.
We got you covered.
We're not on the record yet.
We've
but-
explained that too.
Amy, you're still on my good side.
Just to be clear,
And I did it too. Promise.
We've got one question on
All right,
that.
we are live on YouTube.
I have one question for you.
No big deal. I just need to ask.
And I got, yeah, one more one down.
Did he say we're on YouTube?
Yes, you are now live.
Okay. And I'm muted.
There's the camera there.
Am I ready?
It's on that-
Yes.
Okay, hey, we're ready to rock here. The Madison County Budget Committee will meet here on Friday, May 8th at 9 o'clock. We have a quorum present, and we're meeting here at the Madison County Finance Department, 1981 Hollywood Drive, Jackson, Tennessee. I need a motion to make a determination on the record that meeting electronically is necessary to protect public health, safety, welfare, in light of the coronavirus.
So moved.
Ann White makes a motion.
Second.
Warner Turner seconds. We need a roll call, please. Warner Turner,
Yes.
Ann White,
Yes.
Doug Stevenson, yes.
Jason's mama.
So those are all three we have here. We do have a quorum present, so we're ready to go. We've got the famous Amy Jones here
Infamous.
and Christy Little. You're famous also. Okay, let's go right ahead here. Couple things right down on the bottom line here. It looks like you cut 2.47%, and that includes a lot of the benefits. I know you said you'd cut more than that, but let's go back up to the top here for just a second. And then I do want to show them the tax rate sheet, what we're going to be doing too. So just right there. Amy, is there anything that you want to comment on or anything, or I'll just give you some?
Just a couple of things. I need some instruction from this committee on what you want me to put in for prisoner board for the revenue for this time. We plugged in the same number as last year, but this is an every year question about how y'all want me to plan for that. It's completely out of our control. We don't ever know how many kids the state or other counties will want to place with us. Now, I will tell you that I spoke to Kim Tedford yesterday, and she advises that we continue to not take any out of county placements at least through the end of this month and reevaluate it in June. As small as that little space back there is, if we get somebody who's sick, there's not going to be any way to contain them. And if it's a state kid from somewhere else, getting their worker to come and get them if they get sick is extremely difficult. So,
I need some guidance, Karen. I mean, what do you?
Well, I mean, they're estimated at 82,471. Was this through March or April, Michelle? 82,471.
That's for the whole year. That's
Okay, so, and you had a budget, you've got plugged in 89, was that what the budget was
But
last year?
you think like if we did 80% of it, or I mean,
How
75
much-
or 80%?
How much is your reimbursement? I know Rudder gave us the jail reimbursement yesterday. How much do you get per?
it depends on state kids. Tina's at 126 and some change per day.
Yes,
And then for out of county, it's what, 160 something?
yes.
And I've been having judges beg to use our facility in the past few months, just absolutely, whatever you can do, we'll pay. We kept the young man from Brownsville for, 4 or 5 months. So once we're able to, but if we had the
Well,
ability.
what I'm trying to do is base it on the worst case scenario. Like, in other words, we've been cutting things, sales tax 75. I feel better about us getting down to 70, 75.
or 80.
Yeah, let's do 80%.
Well, if you do that, because if we pick up other counties, we'll make up. the
Right, yeah, I
difference.
mean, I'd rather err on the conservative side than on that. So let's put 71.2 in there, and then let's just do that. I think that's really, and what you'll see when we talk about the tax rate sheet, what I'm doing is I'm adding some penny, did we add half a penny on there? We added half a penny. Thing. So just try to, okay, is there anything else, Amy, you want to?
What Tina and I did when we got the instructions about the 3%, we went just line by line and looked back as far as the history went on the sheet, and just looked for anywhere that we have routinely not spent that much, the budgeted amount, and just went there and did our reductions that way. anywhere that it's showing an increase in salary is because of the adjustments that we had to make because of the federal wage and hour law in January. So there's nobody getting a raise. There is, and it's a flat budget until we got the 3%.
Right,
and
then you got the, I was gonna ask you about that one, I saw the increase on that, I was gonna ask you about
And
that.
the only people who are showing any kind of raise are the ones that we had to adjust.
Let me ask you, let's stop for a minute there. Let's go back up to travel. Talk to me about 355 there on the travel. You got 2250. Is that something that's, talk to me a little bit about that. So
The travel that we do, so all of my team has to do, we have to have 40 hours of continuing ed every year, and there is a conference that moves around the state. The easiest way for me to get them their hours is just to send them to that. But
is that something that they might do
I'm not
electronically?
I'm not even sure it's going to happen this year. And even if it does, if it helps, zero it out, and I'll find another way to get their hours.
I tell you what, let's do. Let's drop those to like $1,000, okay? And then, like I said, you can,
multiple travel lines. There's a travel line.
then you can, then we can look at that.
So you want
I know
each
that-
Yeah, each of them just,
to 1,000?
to each of, would that be okay to drop each of them to
I'll
1,000?
work within whatever. you
Okay,
need.
that's good. I
I
appreciate
believe
it.
that the August one has been canceled.
Let's
Is
drop
it
those.
officially out
Well,
there?
I think they had to let the hotel know, and it's in
Okay, wait.
January, so they
I
also
know.
had it
Go ahead,
voted.
do that. Go ahead, do that.
But,
I want to go back up to other
That's the
contracted services. As you can tell, this has been a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I've been watching the YouTube
Yeah,
broadcast. I'm not envious of you at all.
Ann's been yelling at me a lot when we're muted.
Well, it's because you
know,
can't hear.
It's causing me a lot of,
She says you can't.
it's causing me a
hear.
lot of,
He said he didn't have it younger. Talk loud.
of course, I keep threatening this will be the last year I do this.
Oh, yeah.
We know how to use
Well,
it.
I have duct tape.
Do what
I
now?
have duct tape. You're
Yeah, I
fine.
know.
Hey, Tina, can you pull up everything that we pay out of that other contracted services line?
I guess what I'm asking, Amy, and this is what I've asked other people on other contracted services, is there anything that can be renegotiated due to all this of the pandemic? Is there something that you can kick down the road? Is there something that, they're going to give you you see where I'm headed?
Yeah. Tina, is that where we've been paying the Murfreesboro bill?
Yes.
Okay, so the biggest expenses out of that line are gonna be Murfreesboro placements, so that's $175 a day. I can revisit that. Our contract with them comes up in July, so I can revisit that and see if they would do anything less on that. And then the other big one out of that line is the ankle monitors that we use. And
I know you got to have
we've been
those.
leaning on that more heavily since we've been trying to keep kids out of detention. We've spent more on that monitor bill, but I can revisit that.
Can
one
you,
too.
if you could find out something on Murfreesboro, we're not in it. We're just in a flux situation. We're not going to probably decide. We're not approving anything today. We're just looking at, but if you could find out in the next week or so and just get back with Karen and let them know.
Well,
That'll be
Tina, just
helpful.
pull up all just get a list together of all the vendors that we pay out of contracted services, and we'll just contact them all and see if because all those contracts should be coming up in July. We'll just revisit all of them. And see what we do.
I think that's pretty straightforward where we are here. Warner, you and Ann have any questions or anything? Let's go to this. I'm sorry, Michelle. I'm ahead of myself. I'm ADD, I know. At least you've been gentle with me all this time.
Is there anything else you want?
I want to show her the tax rate sheet because I just want to show you where we've increased and what we did was we added half a penny there. And we felt like that was going to be helpful from the standpoint of what we're having to do right now, though, is we're moving it. I think you can see the big increase there on general fund, that top number from 111 to 122. We're having to put every penny in there, but we put, is hers the 7.68?
Yes.
So we increased that from the 693 to, you know, to hopefully improve that fund balance. Cause you know, we got that, I think that's real important this year based on your revenue situation and knowing where we are. We had that.
So that was because of the concern about the fund balance dropping.
Right. Yeah. What we were trying to do, well, you could see that 118, that's not, I think we were all in agreement that needed to be improved. You know, that's always been one of those kind of feel things, I guess, is, well, that feels pretty good, but we don't know whether that's a good number or not. I mean,
Well, I think in the 10 years I've been here, I think I've only had to come and ask for money out of it once, maybe twice.
I think we had that one year when we put in, we had a shortfall in revenue or something, but I don't know if that's a good number or not. I'll just be totally honest with you. I don't, you know, I think it's a good number.
10 years in October, last October.
I think it's a good number, but I feel better about that. I'm glad we're able to do that with what we got. So that's sort of where we are. Okay. Anybody got any other questions for Amy? Okay. I'm gonna let y'all swap.
That was relatively painless.
Well,
Maybe don't leave me.
hey, it's Friday. We've been here since Monday. We're beaten down.
So we need to just always say we want.
No, Christy, no.
I'm always ask for Friday.
No, I know, but be gentle.
I'm
Be
always,
gentle.
I'm going to
Be
general.
gentle. Be gentle.
I had mine printed out like that, so.
You're so, that's good.
Yeah, last night.
Okay,
It's like Tina, that's
Couple
what
of-
she does.
couple
It's
of
like she
questions.
challenges you to
Okay,
be able
couple of
to read it.
questions. Just want to make sure we're on
Yeah.
the same page.
Sorry,
Go on
happy
back
beat,
up,
actually.
Michelle, if you don't mind.
She has
Uh,
one.
one of the things,
What-
go back up, please. To the top. One of the questions, and scoot over this. Just show that 1.80% increase, 1.85. I know you got that increase on your, like, what we're doing is we're actually reaching out to the state. Nothing, not that you don't deserve the money or whatever. We're trying to just reach out and say, like with the elected officials, they were at 3.46. I know y'all are getting 1.80, but we're just reaching out and sort of see if that's something that we have to do, I guess is what I'm trying to
It's
say.
the state legislature says that y'all have to
Right.
abide by it. The problem, I mean, I'm not, except that the last year we got like point something, and 2 years before that we got 0.00, where the clerks got 6%, the
Right.
sheriff's getting a whole lot more. So,
He's getting 3.46. And then,
and we're getting,
But I'm just letting you know that we're looking into that. The other question I had for Tina is, Michelle brought this to my attention, 189, we had the 103,621. It's an increase of 2543, but we're not real sure what that's.
It's an increase of hours, I believe,
think
isn't
I
it,
think
Tina?
it's for, I think that's for Magistrate Howell, is that right? Or we didn't increase it though.
I thought it was for Lee.
I think it's something that's been in the wrong line, it got refixed.
Yeah, I think we fixed something. Tina, you know what we're talking about?
I do. What it was a miscalculation on my part. For one of the salaries that's in that line, I figured it on the wrong number of hours instead of,
So it's really,
75 hours. I'm sorry.
Tina, it's really not a pay increase. It's just a recalculation, I guess. See,
That's correct.
somebody may ask me about that, and I just want to be able to be able to explain it. So I'll just say it's a recalculation of
Yes,
what we've done based on the number of hours and everything. Okay.
that is correct.
Does that involve just one employee, or is it?
It does. It's one employee.
Okay, that's what I needed to know. Okay.
And then we discussed things.
And then let's go on down to the bottom. Now we put the benefits in and everything else, but that was a 2.38% increase. Now that includes your 1.80, but I mean, a lot of that, everything else was pretty, it was,
I just kept it this, yeah.
go ahead. Sorry. Go
No.
ahead, Ann.
Well, on 452, the utilities estimated in budget, there's no increase, decrease.
It needs to be an increase, but I didn't want to use that as my 3%, to be honest with you. What happened is we've gotten, Mark, A-Day's doing a great job, but we've gotten 2 new, units, and they're pulling more voltage, and our bill, had we not had COVID, I guess we can say there's one positive thing, had we not had, if the building had been running wide open, we
You'd
would
you'd have a
been,
problem.
well, we'd have been coming here. And we're getting we're supposed to get one more because the boiler is slowly dying. We're still using that boiler for heat in some of the, in the courtrooms and other places, not the courtroom, but in some of the other offices. So, it probably needs to be increased, but you never, I mean, we're gonna be okay this year because we haven't had the building running, and we're trying to be good stewards of just turning
Just because
everything
they have
off unless we're in there, but, you know, if they go up because of it,
Yeah,
if
we
the
just have-
utility department goes up, if we
Was there
need
There's
that.
more.
I mean,
than what was estimated,
had
so it just
I
changed.
been doing this like a normal year, I would have said, we need more money in that line item, but
Everything
I
is
didn't
zero.
want,
Just a second, let's go. back.
we're okay.
So all I
but-
should have to do then is have
Okay,
to come back.
let's go back up to 355, Christie. We got that 6,500 in there for travel. Is that something that you can, 6,900, I'm sorry.
Right,
So-
I have to, and I don't know what Judge Harvey did, I'm on but the issue with mine is I'm on the juvenile court executive committee and the general session, so we have, we're not having, as of right now, the September meeting is in Jackson, so we'll renovate, we'll have revenue from that, so we won't have to use as much, but then we are required to attend those meetings, and we are not even having meetings in Nashville anymore because the rates are so expensive. We're using Franklin and Murfreesboro, and but
Sure.
you just can't go without for 3 days
No,
without
not
having an
Nashville.
expense. So
no.
I didn't decrease it, but and if it's more, I'll just pay it out of my pocket.
Okay, no,
But I'm there for meetings and
I
I
got
have to go early. So
Well, we're just trying to,
I
okay,
would
talk
if
to
I
me
could.
about 399, other contracted service. Is that something that we need to, Amy, is that something that we need to?
We
Do you know
can do
anything
the same
about
thing
that?
We're gonna do mine. Tina may know right offhand who all we're paying out of that. I know it's the video system for the courtroom.
We have to tape everything, so that's that BIS digital and the monitor that's allowed me to be able to do the jail cases and the detention cases without
We can
Zoom.
do the same thing we're doing with mine.
Um,
We'll just go through all those vendors and see what we can renegotiate.
How come we have two of those 399?
One's a grant, one
One's
has
a
a call
grant?
center.
Okay, you didn't have
They
that.
Yeah, I just
yes.
don't have it on the budget.
Okay. You're pretty impressed. I recognize that. Aren't you?
I said that
Okay,
last year.
very good. Okay, I guess what I'm asking you to do is just
Man,
look at those and see if that, very similar to what I just asked. We need to just look at those and see if it's something that we can renegotiate or is there something in there that we can look at?
Tina, is that mostly BIS?
It is, I can't pull that up on my computer for some reason, that account. So, but I can get the committee a list of what's paid out of that.
That'd be great.
Is
Um,
it, is, don't you have a person paid out of that one too?
Out of the
399,
399,
or is that the other one, the grant?
that's the other one.
The
Okay.
grant, yeah.
Michelle, can you go back and show us the budget? You're in now, unhide it. There you go.
Can I ask you a question about lease and rental? We got estimated $0. Is that something that with 351, is that something that we could cut right there for lease and rentals?
Is that the copy machine?
Lee may know because we just got rid of everything we could and went and renegotiated. We just did that because you guys approved it.
I
So
mean,
we've
y'all-
gotten it
y'all
down
got
to
it.
low.
Tina, is there anything in there other than the copy machine?
And the BIS. Tina, is there anything
No,
than the copy machine?
no, and Lee, she's here with me, and she said the copier, since she has renegotiated all of that it's about $100 a month. So,
So we could drop that down to 1,200?
Is that-
in my opinion, I think we could.
that's the only thing coming out of that, right? That's not our BIS at all. That has nothing
No.
to do with my monitor.
Why don't we just drop that to 1,200 then? That'd be helpful. Okay,
And I'm gonna start doing the mental health courts like Judge Harvey, and I'm gonna do them for Pathways. Pathways is gonna pay for, they've already, set up the monitor at their facility, and they're gonna pay some services, but we can't really take it off of that because I still have to do the jail.
okay,
That'll be one,
okay. Let's talk office supplies down here, 435. You got $3,200. That's the same as last year. But so far through, I guess, was it March, 1,500? Is that something we could maybe reduce down to 2,500, 2,750, something like that?
sure.
Lee is shaking her head yes.
Okay, well, let's,
We'll just go
Didn't see that.
cheaper on the.
well,
toilet
let's just
paper.
do, yeah, thank
Just
you.
do one
Yeah,
box.
Just use the
I'll
John
do one.
Wayne.
If you're gonna do my
that's
husband, you
on.
can only
That's
have
on.
one strip and two
Okay.
strips, so yeah, we can.
Let's drop that to 2,500 then. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
talk to me about publications. Is that something that's,
That's the information that they send us through. Are we still, what are we getting besides that, that one that I get online, like anything else?
The LexisNexis.
And, they gave me LexisNexis this time. I actually called and got the grant for that, so you can take that out.
okay, we'll just take 1,000. We'll take that out then.
I
Okay.
got approved for that, Tina, and I've just got to sign up for it. I just need somebody to help me.
Let's go on down a little bit more here.
Okay.
Okay, now data processing equipment, is that BIS? So we need to keep that, we need to keep 709
I gotta have.
where it
that.
is.
Yes.
Okay, and I'd say 708 would be the same. Can we look at the bottom line now and sort of see where we are? Okay, we've reduced that. That's good. Go ahead, Ann.
Under utilities, 452, you're estimating, you budgeted, and then you're estimating, you're budgeting again for the same as you did before.
Right.
Do you think that's going to,
It's gonna go, well, I say that, you know, we don't ever know the summer and the winter,
yeah,
and we're trying
There's no
to
units.
keep it, we're trying to be as vigilant as we can about keeping things turned off.
Karen, you see
And,
anything?
I'm so hot natured, in the winter I freeze everybody, I just let them bring blankets, so. But I guess we can watch it, and maybe mid-year, if we see we're way, way off, we could come. Maybe by then things will have, COVID things and other issues will be resolved. We didn't add it just because we didn't know where we'd be at this point.
Okay, Christie, I think that about does it. I think, was there something else that you needed to?
Well, on the GPS, can we just leave it alone then?
Yeah, I don't see why we can't. I mean, I think that
Can
probably
you go back up to that one?
GPS.
And that pays for the summer jobs program, which we aren't doing this year, but it also pays for my safe haven, and we had cut that by 3.
You're right.
Can we put it back in?
Now, I guess what I'm gonna ask you though is, let's go back up to that supervisor or whatever. You've increased their pay.
We're using her well, we're not right now, but every day, and then on Saturdays and Sundays. We increased her. She had not gotten an increase for about 6 years. I wouldn't do it. She's a school teacher that comes in after school and on the weekends to supervise visits, because Carl Perkins only does supervision if they're in foster care, and most of the kids are not. So, that's why we did that. I was afraid I wouldn't do it for what she's doing it for. I wouldn't do it at all. But,
I'm just gonna have an issue with that because we hadn't done, I understand your situation there.
Is that all that we increased for, Lee, or did we also, the building was flooded, that whole basement was flooded. Was there other reasons why we increased Dawn's?
Now, that's not Dawn, that's actually Lee, and last budget year, we budgeted $8,034. As of, I think it was August 1, she got an increase of $100 a pay period.
And that was to do Safe Haven and to also do the, PEMF, the grant that we do.
That's correct.
Amount, so.
So we're gonna have to do a budget amendment. We're gonna have to do a budget amendment this year. And that's why that has increased for next year from last year. Does that make sense?
Yes, what happened is we've gotten another grant, which has allowed us,
Okay, so,
we don't need to take it out if we can.
okay, I see what you're saying now. I was,
I'm
okay,
sorry, I was
That's okay.
thinking
That's
Dawn
okay.
only, but I forget about you, Lee, I'm sorry.
okay.
I know.
So really 10,400, the increase, I guess I'm trying to explain it. The increase is due to the grant. Is that the way I'm supposed to say it?
Are you showing the grant as additional income?
Well, we haven't, we had it last time, we haven't gotten it yet this time, and Amy's written it, we're gonna get it though.
Applications are due May 15th and decisions are due the first week of June. I don't have any reason to think that it won't be renewed or that it will be renewed less.
I was just thinking you could offset the difference with the income. If you-
They did,
It's already in there.
yeah.
It's already in there.
Yeah,
Okay.
and then Dawn is, was just I don't even think we did hers, it was a tiny bit, and then we run the evening reporting, we're running every juvenile court service out of that budget, basically.
Go ahead.
Are there any restrictions in that contract that that person has to be solely devoted to that particular job?
No,
Okay, that's,
no, 'cause
Okay.
that's what, she's my person.
Let me ask you this, Christie, because 399, we got estimated, you got budgeted 5451. I don't know what y'all use that for. Is that something that we could decrease or even eliminate? Because you got zero right there estimated.
For
Is that-
other contracted
Right,
services, what
right.
was that before, Tina?
That was Dawn.
Okay, so can we take
We could just take that out?
Yes, you could.
Okay, well, let's
Well,
do
that
that.
mean it would be, she won't get the extra or she won't get anything?
She's not getting anything now.
You see what I'm saying? Why is it zero underestimated?
you mentioned she hadn't gotten anything.
Actual expense.
Mhm.
Right, but we've been paying her.
Yes, and I bet you it's coming out of 599 instead of 399. I can't pull that up on my computer for some reason.
So if it comes, if they'll leave the 599 alone, then we can take the 399 out.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, let's do that then. Okay,
That
let's
really
see.
helps.
That-
Okay, that's,
So could we, so would we get our 100,000 this year again for GPS? We use it for every program, ERC, teen court, everything we're running that either the budget's ran out or,
you got budgeted 93,500. Is there some specific reason why that's changed from the 1,000? Is that, I'm just asking.
The 100,000.
She's wanting to bump it back up to 100.
Oh, she wanted to bump it
Right.
back up. Okay, I misunderstood.
I'm just
But they
afraid.
got budgeted 9350.
Right, but she's.
Oh,
they did
okay,
that
I
to
see.
meet the
I
To
see.
target.
meet there.
I see
And
what
now, and
you're
now that we've done all those other changes, can we just, I'm just afraid we're, next year when we do the summer jobs program, then we're gonna have to explain to be better just to keep it at the 100. And
Right.
We're gonna turn it back in this
Well,
year.
let's see what the 100, put the 100 in there and let's see what it looks like. Okay.
That would allow us next year when we do have the summer jobs program, we don't have to come back in and go, please, let us. do that."
Well, and then she will start her summer program before the new budget, as it would be. So
And we're also, and it will, we're gonna continue, and Mayor Conger has agreed to pay the 50, the match, like Mayor Gist had done, so we're still in good shape on
Very impressed.
that. Yeah, and has agreed to add some, positions where most of it was Westwood Gardens and County. He's agreed to let each, of his group can,
You must be real influential with him because I'm pretty impressed.
no, just,
I'm teasing with you.
I will. The funny part was I don't even think I went to the meeting. Did you go?
Okay. Is there anything else?
The only thing I want to say is, I understand that my meeting at 1 is canceled, right?
Right, correct.
All right, and I found something from 2015 that Miss Ann sent me, and it was my capital request, and it was, first was the sheriff to get the things that he's already gotten or getting. Mine was second, which was, facility with the detention and Amy and me together. And the third was education and things that had already been done. So since 2015, I've been asking, and I have never gotten any assistance except for Mark. And I had just taken some time and gotten estimates just to paint and put carpet in there and do some extra stuff. And if I just beg of you, our building is in great need of some, I mean, we just need carpet. CJC's on their second round. Ours, I wouldn't let my dog walk around on it. It's just falling apart.
So let me make sure. So we're needing carpet. Now, what are we doing with that other, we're putting that other, for use of a better phrase, that other courtroom in there?
We were wanting to do that. It would have been what I presented.
I've seen it. I know what you're talking
And
about.
I took pictures and I had a PowerPoint.
Now, let me ask you this. If you had to prioritize that, carpet, paint, and then courtroom?
We need courtroom, and we need, like, the benches no longer are stuck into the ground, so we get a large person on the front row, every one of those.
Okay.
Okay, there's just things that need to be done, and I tried to get asked.
Here's what I need you to do. Have
Mark,
Lee send us something in writing that says, these are the priorities. I need the carpet. I mean, whatever you decide to do.
Yeah.
I need something in writing so we can put that in there. And then I want you to put, since 2015,
I can put I
Okay.
even copied.
do that so we have that. I want
Mr.
to have that.
Stevenson, she has submitted, it's already in. the
Okay,
updated
very good.
three-year
I just
cap.
want to make sure, but I want to make sure it's even prioritized. Because we're down.
Prioritized, no, but
I need it
is in the
prioritized.
draft.
I need it prioritized.
I prioritize that word, and I'll put that I have it, and it's got your name on it, and I made copies, so I'll
Okay,
just
so we
stick
have
them.
that. That's good.
So,
Okay.
You got my message about, I think y'all got my message about pushing all of my capitals in next year, anything I'd asked for this year.
Karen,
I think Karen got that.
You got my message about everything I had. in my
Christie,
capitals.
thank you so much.
Yes, we got all yours taken care of.
It's good to see you.
you too, y'all take care.
Thank
Thank you for.
Okay.
Obviously, you've been in this. Y'all have a good day.
Okay. We have Donna Harris on.
Nobody's on. Kim's actually-
Kim's on. Nobody.
Kim's the next person.
I'm ahead of the game. Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Let's just look at Kim's while we got. Thank you, guys.
You're welcome. Thank you. Obviously, Lee and I'll get together and
Just
kinda
prioritize.
1, 2, 3. I think it's probably pretty much in the order
Okay.
which we wanted, but
Okay. Thank you,
You
Megan.
can
Thank
make
you, guys.
1.1, 1.2, 1.3, you'd all say all of them, number
Right.
ones.
I want all the
Number
number
one,
ones.
and
Oh,
here's,
yeah.
yeah,
Put me in the.
it's good.
Oh,
This is bad news here.
Is there gonna be something coming up?
Do what now?
Is there something coming up that will come up?
Election, yeah. I mean, but the thing is she's got that 3.46% increase too on the election. Then they've got the election workers that they've got.
See,
But you see, what I was wondering was,
I know.
there's so much talk about, doing it by mail. I mean, and everything like that. Which would be that'd be a disaster. But what I'm saying is
That's a disaster.
I don't know. I think we're just gonna have to leave
He's not paying
what we
attention.
got in there. And then with so much of the things in flux,
Mhm. I helped them are we muted? Okay, well, anyway, I helped them,
are we on mute? No.
You
Okay,
can't,
then,
let's
right.
take a break.
but,
Yeah, well, are they on? They're not on.
You have John Newman on.
Okay. Let's go ahead and do John then. Move on. John? But
Go ahead, John.
Yes.
okay, John, good to have you here. We're running a little early.
Oh, well, it's not my time. I was just gonna watch somebody else.
Yeah. That's good. We'll let everybody watch you. So, is there anything that you want to discuss on this? Where, you know, we've had, you and I have had a discussion about the 3.46, and I don't know if Mayor Harris has reached to you about that. Is there anything else that you wanted to discuss? Or?
Well, you know me, I don't really have much to say, but Mayor Harris has talked about that. I've got a comment, just a side comment on this. And y'all may be doing this, but I'm certainly a team player. I think that's something that you should be looked at. But I am somewhat adamant that it's looked at across the board with every person, judges, et cetera.
We're doing that, John.
There's many people that are on wage type automatic increases that aren't automatically seen, that like on the top line item of a budget, for example.
We've talked about that.
So I'm for across the board. So it does make a significant difference. But yeah, I have heard about that. I've heard talks about it, and I'm hoping that once it's dealt with on a broad basis.
Very good. Let me talk to you a little bit about educational incentive there. Is there anything, I know you've got really not much wiggle room there. Is there anything going on there that's pretty in granted, or I'm just asking out of curiosity?
No, that's you know, as you know, that's a graduated thing that happens when people get extended training. Once they get to the maximum, they're at the maximum. So it is there for the people that are in that position. And so it's, you know, I noticed one yesterday, you know, had someone leave, and then so they'll start back at the bottom and it'll start back up if they are in that position of training. But that's a continuing training situation. So that is at I'd say my maximum. Those are my certified people that have been certified that are qualified for that.
I think Ann had a question.
Well, I just see that 187, which is overtime, you didn't have it in your budget and no estimation. Well, you haven't spent any this year, but you're putting 1,000 in there for next year.
Well, here's what happened, Ann. Good question. None to my knowledge to me that the way they do overtime in the county is if they work over 37.5 hours, they get paid between 37.5 and 40 first. So that's not over 40 hours. That's 37.5 to 40. And it happened in 1 week or a 10-day period in February that people actually got more in their paycheck. And so it would occur this year. I don't know exactly. I mean, I thought they might put it in just salaries, but I mean, if it is overtime, it is overtime, I guess. That makes sense?
It does, but it's just a clarification for me. I thought it was all over 40 hours.
Well, I mean, you can check with Karen on that, I guess, but I was informed that if I turn in their pay is based on a 37.5 hour week. I didn't do this. I mean, it is, I mean, maybe it's part of what we did during our grading, but some of my people worked more than that during the last week of February or so. And that's where that extra money came in. I mean, and I'm not going to say none of it was over 40, but I mean, it was a 1 week deal, one or 2 week deal.
Okay. So,
and I also, as you see, I took out all my part-time money. I've been going down on that all the time. And Doug, I wouldn't say this. I just think I need to. And Karen and I talked about this. You know, we put budgets together, you know, over the years. I mean, I think transparency and all that's been preached, and our transparencies for this to be several departments that I know of is if it costs this is what we put in the budget. If it costs this on a bill, we put it in the budget. And so to try to cut things that, we're doing everything we can, because I'm holding my breath on some of these items because, you know, I got to mail out taxes, you know, tax notices. We got to have our software and different things like that. So, you know, you look at office supply, for example. I mean, I've crunched that down to a point to where we're not out of stuff, but we're going to try our best to see if we can go down to, you know, an empty closet, you know, on some stuff. So I think that you'll see that's a very low figure. So starting with, if people, the better job that people did up to today, the harder it is for us to take anything out of it.
Oh, there's no question.
Well, I think, yeah.
We've done, I am thrilled with the smaller departments. They have, and you're included in that, have done a tremendous job. But the problem is, and you and I've had this conversation numerous times, as we tighten up these budgets to get up to 96 or 97%, it's harder and harder and more difficult. Well, I'll just use your office supplies as an example. I mean, you're decreased at $400. I mean, that doesn't sound like much, but that's a really good thing. I mean, our commission reduced theirs, what, $250 to $300? I can't remember what the amount was. So that is excellent, but it makes it, as we move forward, it makes it more and more difficult to tighten up. And I got to give everybody, all the smaller departments, I got to give them credit for what they're doing, and there's absolutely no question about that.
Well, I mean, we're all trying to be team. I just, when I say hold my breath, I mean,
let me back up when you say, I want to make sure this is on YouTube. I really do. When you're saying that we all want to be team players, I want to make that clarification is that the majority of our departments want to be team players.
Yes, I agree.
We have other departments that are not understanding the word team.
Yeah. So, well, I can, if y'all got other questions, I mean, I got some other comments, but if y'all got other questions.
You go ahead with your comments, because I think we're good.
Okay. Obviously, you know, I put these employee raises in there before all this really started. And I do subscribe to this. Y'all need to know that when I was a commissioner, I used to get pounded by people saying, y'all won't give me a raise, y'all won't give me a raise. Well, their department head never asked for it. And so I feel an obligation at least put something in my budget sometimes and let the chips fall where they may. And of course, this was done before all this virus and stuff, the thought process, but I understand why, and that should get it down to closer to 3%. I can't see the bottom of your deal if it's what the percentage is.
Well, the thing is you're down 1.26. Of course, that doesn't include, we still got the 3.46 in there. And then the benefits, I hadn't looked at your benefit line item. They've increased, like stop loss has gone up. You got some insurance administration that has gone up. It's mainly benefits where you got. Okay, because
when I took those out, we got it around 3%. Right. But
that's where when I say that to get close.
Yeah, let me speak to one other thing, Doug, if you don't mind.
Yeah, go ahead.
On the data processing, you know, we are one of the offices that we do not have any kind of fee coming in. It goes into a big fund of reserve and that kind of thing. And I don't begrudge those folks, but I asked for what I need. And again, Karen and I have had this conversation. We're going to have to do a little bit of upgrading of, I mean, we got all these machines and all this stuff that's trying to continue running to collect all this money we collect. And I can't let them go down, but I did reduce next year in an emergency mode, but some of this year's money I'll use, but it's a very, comparatively, I think me asking for $2,500 to try to keep that stuff, everything I got, printers and computers and everything, upgraded to the point. Now I use the IT department very heavily on that to go inside and recreate the innards and that kind of thing. And that's worked well. But that data processing I have it's not being generated by fee. It's something I have to ask directly from y'all.
Okay.
And then look at also on the online services that I went down 40%. You see that bank charge online, what that is I like to give y'all some kind of update on things that's happening, but that was where we changed services on how people could pay online. And our number of people that paid online went up. I mean, we're still at a lower amount than I wanted, but it went up 50% in this 1 year. And then the amount we collected online went up 100% because of the e-check being a lot less. And those are positive movements. Now, on the reason that went down, I called that company and told them I can't pay them that amount. I negotiated that down.
Right.
Okay. And when this stuff first started, so I'm getting the same service for the same money for less money, but I basically beat them I mean, thing is, I was gonna I'm bragging about them, but at the same time, I tell them I can't do this, and so unless you can go down, so they did.
Right.
And that's how I was able to save that money. Audit services is important to mention as well. That is hotel motel audits. And we just started that. I actually put it off so we could get a full calendar year until January. And we did send the letters out to 1/3 of the hotels saying that audit's coming. Then the pandemic came and I had to put a hold on it. I just couldn't do it during the middle of this where all these hotels shut down. But we are going to start that and get probably about $6,400 looks like done before the end of this year. But that's something that's on a 3-year running cycle. And so I did put it back in my budget, but that's something new, but I did cut it down from what we did last year.
What do you see on that? I mean, looking out on the horizon, do you see that you're going to find some things there that are, I'm just asking out of curiosity.
They don't present it that way, that they're going to find a bunch of stuff that's going to generate a bunch of dollars. I think it's a compliance thing where people know it's coming every 3 years, and they will tend to make sure that they do their documents right, get them in timely, and there may be a few things, pet fees and stuff like that we pick up, but and honestly, I mean, I don't mean to, I just know this based on us collecting hotel motel for all these years, is the big companies that will audit, they'll have everything in order, they'll have it perfect. Some of the smaller ones that we have trouble with, or some of them we have trouble with collecting the money, getting them to pay, whatever, that might be an area where they have to come out and actually do a more intensive deal. And they probably, the abusers are probably the smaller ones, if that makes sense.
Sure. Yeah.
And so we'll get reports back, and when we get these first ones back, I'll be glad to let y'all know what happened on that. But I'd love to say, yeah, it's going to increase us by 25%, but I don't think that's what they bill it as. In fact, in our private act, it requires us to do audits, and we've never done them ever.
John, this looks real good. I don't see anything else we need to ask you. Do you have any more comments or anything?
Well, I would at the appropriate time. I've heard you talk about delinquency rate and how much the penny brings in and things like that. And it's not really in my purview, except for delinquency rate. I would like to talk to you and Karen, or whoever I need to, about the probabilities of this year. I've given her a lot of figures. It looks like we're going to come real close to the budget. We're not the budget of this. I'm talking about the year we're in. And I think about 20% or less, Karen, I didn't get to this number yet, but 20% or less are mortgage paid taxes. It's around 20%. So if there is a adjustment to when, some of these people is getting their escrows, paying later or whatever, I think that, I'd like to have input to delinquency rate, because that's been a kind of a pride of ours, that we've lowered that average down by several percent since I've been here, to allow several $1 million to be used in the budget. So as you deal with that, I would like to have some input to it at some time.
Okay, that sounds good. We just we've upped the delinquency, and I made the comment, you've done a tremendous job of lowering that, but we just felt like, based on the current situation, that we needed to increase it. We actually bumped up the pennies yesterday just a smidge, based on what Francis had sent down. So I think we're, like I said, we're playing the ultra conservative card here, and just that's where we are. So,
well, yeah, my humble opinion, I mean, what is the rate that you moved it to?
What did we use, Michelle? Is it 5.33, John?
And then you used what last year?
4.23.
Okay, well, that's probably fair. I would say, moving up Francis' number some is, and raising the delinquency rate is going to get you where you want to go. I mean, doing both of them is real conservative, and you do that's your job to do it. I just, on the delinquency thing, I believe, this is my opinion, that I looked at some figures here. We, as you know, I don't know who figured it in last year's budget, but it was a lot and it was aggressive. But we brought it to $2 million worth of interest and just investments, and then we about $200,000 worth of interest that people that paid after the date. So I mean, in some fashion, if the delinquency rate does go up, the interest penalty rate will go up as well. So it'll be made up in another area. So I'm just giving you some things to kind of look at. Also, our trustee fee is going to be over $2 million this year as well. So
Well, I think like I said, we're in guess mode a lot. So that's sort of, what we're doing, but
Yeah.
so.
Okay. Well, I appreciate it. I
Okay,
think
John, thank you so much.
I think that I did know that whether it be downturn, because there was eternity was from the time that I actually put this together now, and it's going to be the eternity between now and July 1st about these numbers. I understand that. And then even if we go past that, but what I understand is if we got more of a downturn than y'all are estimating, we're going to have to look at some things that none of us want to look at. I understand that. But from the other side, if I'm mailing something out or I'm out of supplies, I'm going to have to come ask for something. Is that
I
fair?
totally understand, but
Okay.
we're just preparing for. I'd be doing you a disservice if I didn't prepare for the worst.
I understand.
Okay.
Thank you.
John, thank you.
All right.
Okay, Kim Buckley, you're up. I'm glad you're here. We've already looked at yours. Kim, come on down here so you'll be a little bit closer to the microphone there. I know you don't want everybody to see you on Zoom there.
There's the microphone.
Oh, I
We
see.
want everybody to see you on
You're
Zoom.
good right there.
Am I good right here?
I prepared some explanations of what I needed. Were you able to? Oh, you are so good. So anyway, I brought some to hand out if you want one. But, things have changed so much since, for all of us, but since I made this budget. So I will tell some good news. The state is receiving a lot of money through the CARES Act for elections, and we can get $1.50 per registered voter to help us with COVID precautions over and above what we had in our budget or what we would normally use. So at 60,000 registered voters, we should get $90,000. How that will come, of course, it's not in here as far as, something being reimbursed. I guess I'll just come to the well when as things come up, because we may not need it, and I hope we don't. So,
Okay.
So that's the silver lining on all of this. And do you want me to go over everything?
Well, I'll tell you what, let's talk about 101, because what we've done is, and you got a 3.46% increase there, and we're looking at, we're actually reaching out to legislators. You know what we're doing on
That's
that.
fine.
Okay, I'm just letting you know that.
Any of that.
And I see no change on the deputies and no change on that. Now, election workers, you want to talk about that. And here's what I'm asking. I guess, are you getting any kind of feedback from the state on, hey, we're going to have to do this by mail or whatever? I mean,
And it changes daily.
I'm sure it does. I guess what I'm trying to say is are they going to help on that part of it too? So I guess what I'm saying is we probably just need to keep the 116,500 in there.
I think what
I'm just asking.
I can transfer some of this labor to, doing absentee ballots is labor intensive.
Right.
We really have to research, is this voter eligible to do this? And then there's the postage and all that. But there again, this CARES Act is supposed to pay for absentee. They figured out what we've done in the past.
Sure.
So that's our expectation. And when we go over that, they're supposed to reimburse us, but we're probably going to pay it up front.
Okay. So what you're saying is we probably need to leave the 116,500 in there.
Certainly would.
And then, okay, that's what I wanted to make sure. Okay. Going down. We got all that to be determined. Communication, that was a decrease.
That's a decrease.
That's
yeah.
good. Operating lease, is there anything that you could do on that? Because I'm asking everybody else, is there anything that?
It's about 90.
Okay, so there's
$100
really
a
nothing,
month.
we can do to renegotiate that. Legal notices, that's gonna be about the same, I would assume,
I
based
think
on.
so, and I think I can bring it in under that, if I
Okay.
don't have any special elections or
I
something. I
understand.
think I can do better.
Well, let's
than
just keep
but
that, let's
yeah.
keep that where it
Yeah.
is. And then 336, you've broken that out really good. Is there anything there that you feel like at this point that we could, that we need to be looking at?
I'm just horrified I'm gonna need more than that, but, One thing that the state is anticipating, and there again, we're paid for, but we may have to pay up front, is, if we have a lot of absentee ballots, we have one scanner to scan those on election day, so we may have to rent additional ones to handle that, and they're like $750 a scanner, and, you know, but there again, we would be reimbursed for it.
Okay, postage.
We better keep that. There, you know, we're gonna need more envelopes and so forth.
Okay, let's talk about travel here, $6,000.
I know there, we can talk. When I made this, I thought that
I understand.
we're required to attend a seminar.
Sure.
I am in order to keep my certification.
You think those will be done by Zoom
Yeah.
probably?
Yeah.
Well, why don't we, what do you feel like we need to
We
cut
keep
that?
1,000 because we have a mid-year thing toward the end of the year. It's here in Jackson. I don't have to attend that, but
Okay,
that's not required.
okay, so
So
we
at
could
the
reduce that, down. You got 6,000 in there. What could we reduce that to? You feel comfortable with?
1,000.
1,000? Okay, very good. That'll be helpful. Okay. Office supplies, I see you got 5,000 in there, you used 4,000. Maybe I missed that, I'm sorry. Is that something that you feel like you could reduce, or is that something?
No.
No? Okay.
I don't, I usually ask
If I
for
hadn't known,
6,000.
if I hadn't known you since college, I would question you on that, but I'm not.
Well, I usually ask for 6,000 on a presidential year, but I thought, I just believe I can do it with
Okay,
5,000, but I don't want to.
Okay.
And
So
I never
really-
know what I'm
So
gonna-
really, in reality, on your budget of 450, let me make sure, because I want Karen to make sure we write this down. We got 455,662. Now, how much of the are you going to get reimbursed on that particular budget?
Nothing.
Nothing.
No.
Okay, so we're not good. So when we're getting the 90,000, where do we apply the CARES? Where do we apply that money to?
To anything that was over and above what we expected.
Over and above.
The state's going to supply us with masks and gloves and stuff for my poll workers that will still work. Another issue here is that 85% of my election day poll officials and my early voting are over the age of 60.
Gotcha.
So we've got all kinds of challenges. to
Someone
deal
was
with.
in.
We got challenges here.
Mr. Yeah,
Yeah,
Charles.
we got challenges here with
Warner is
AM.
Officer at Southside.
So I'm gonna ask you a hypothetical question.
Okay.
I'm sorry, this is
That's fine.
terrible. Do you feel like some election commissions would underfund their budgets to be able to compensate with that CARES money? Or-
I think most everybody's turned in their budget at this point now.
You see where I'm
I
heading?
I would love to tell you yes, but I don't know what they're doing. You know how any grant is.
I understand.
You better be using it for its intended purpose.
I understand. You understand what I'm saying?
I understand.
Okay.
Hopefully come back and ask for a refund.
Okay, so I'm gonna look you in the eye here and say 455, 662, is that a good number for you?
That's a good number for me, Doug.
Okay, very good.
You recall, I held a runoff
Oh.
election and didn't come back to the
I
well,
know.
so I played.
Oh, I know you have.
Yeah.
We're
And
talking,
nearly had a recall election and I was determined. I was gonna
we're
come
talking,
back.
we're talking group side hug there.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good. I think we're good to go. Is there anything else that you wanna?
No,
Okay,
no.
you did great on Zoom there. You really did.
Well, I don't have a camera on my computer.
Kim, thank you so much.
Thank you, guys.
good.
Appreciate
Good to
you.
see you.
Thank you.
See you.
Appreciate it. Okay, Kim, thank you again so much. Appreciate it. Donna? Okay. Donna, here's what we're doing. I just want to, my illustrious finance director here, we are meeting with we're going to meet with the city next week. I'm afraid to meet with Karen anywhere, but we're going to do it. I'm nervous about it, really nervous. But what we're gonna do is I'm gonna get absolute assurances from the city
I've already communicated with them.
where we are. My concern is, is explain to me when you close, what expenses do you have? Let's say that you close, let's just say that we have another round of this and you
Right.
close for 2 months. How does that really affect maintenance of effort and your expenses? I want to understand that.
Right. Okay, so basically when we had to close in March, we closed on Wednesday, I think March the 18th was our first close date, I believe, our last open date. I'm not sure which, but it was the last day, our first day. So we reopened with curbside this week, so we were basically shut down for 6 or 7 weeks, something like that. So during that time, really the only money we saved, because as a county department, we paid our employees the same as all the other county departments that went through that. The only money we actually saved for being closed was utilities and supplies. But the big thing is supplies, because like the Monday before we closed, we had 300 people in there.
Do what now you do?
The Monday before we closed on Wednesday, we had 300 people in the library, just at the main library. North Branch had 50 or 75 that day. And so we have to have hand sanitizer, and we're gonna have to have wipes for the keyboards. Well, at that time, you could still buy a few, and we bought up some, but we don't have enough. If we have to reopen, we don't have enough to last any time at all. But we decided we could do curbside, and that way it limits the amount of people in the building having to use
Sure.
that and all. And we are having a lot of people take advantage of that. But basically, the only thing we saved was the supplies, which could amount to, like I said, a good little amount right now with it having to have so much hand sanitizer.
Now, how does that apply to maintenance of effort? And I guess what, in other words,
You know,
let's just say that you
yeah.
were cutting supplies,
If it-
you know, in half. How does that really doesn't,
It.
I'm just asking out of
Yeah,
curiosity.
yeah. I've never had to do maintenance of effort before as far as a challenge to it in any way, but I've already checked with the state library and they said that they would sign a waiver for this year due to the fact that we're in a pandemic and all the other departments were asked to cut.
Right.
You know, if you were just picking on the library and saying, oh, we're just gonna pick on the library, that would be a different scenario. But you've asked everybody
Right.
to look. And that's why when I
Well-
cut our budget by the 3%, the biggest part of that came out of payroll. And then we were able to cut, because our materials line item has to be 15% of our total budget.
Right.
It cut 3% of that. And then we also took out maintenance, a lot of maintenance, 1/3 of our maintenance budget. But we're just hoping, because our central heat and air units are new, that, we'll do
Sure.
the very best we can to make, if something big happened, we'd have to come back and tell you, but we're willing to just take that out and just say, hopefully we're not gonna need it. But we cut a little in a lot of line items. I mean, we took 3,000 out of travel. We took money out of contracted services, out of books, out of programming.
That's
We're
not,
gonna ask our library friends to fund our programming this year. So we took money out of that. We took money out of our office equipment line items, which we use when we have a tech grant. So if I apply for a tech grant, I'm gonna have to ask my library foundation to help with that, and they'll be glad to if it's something we need. But the cuts we've already made are gonna result in a cut in 8 hours of service at the library, because of the money that was cut from payroll is equal to about having 3 people to work 8 hours. So we're gonna close at 6 on Monday through Thursday instead of 8, which also violates our maintenance of effort. But, we're gonna have to get away from it
based on it.
anyhow, so.
Okay. Let me ask you this, I'm going back to you reaching out to the city, so we are all on the same page. You have gotten assurances from them that is
I
that,
sent Bobby Arnold, Bobby Arnold, yeah, Bobby Arnold and the mayor a copy and told them, this is what our budget was. We've cut it by 3% by request of the county. So this is what, and I don't have in writing any verbal assurances, but I think that we have verbal assurances that they were gonna be okay with that. But yeah, I don't have anything.
what we're gonna do is reach out to them. And we're gonna have a meeting next week. I don't know what
Tuesday.
Tuesday. And we're gonna reach out with them and get some assurances, because I just wanna,
Yeah.
I wanna feel very comfortable that we're moving forward with
Yeah,
what
most
we're,
definitely, because, the only way I could operate with any less is, I mean, it affects service hours.
well,
It's-
the thing is, what I was gonna, and I know you've, and that's why I was asking about maintenance of effort earlier and those kind of things, because let's say that we have another 2 months of this in the fall, let's say, is, you know, you, and I'm sure you thought this through, you know, what kind of plan are you gonna have to, let's just say that you had to cut your hours 30 more percent or 40%, or you had to be shut down for a month or whatever. I mean,
Well,
we got to have a plan put together
Like I said,
of
the only money that we could save would be like what, the only
Personnel.
money we have in personnel, because
so
over
that's
half
what
of
I
our
want to
budget,
make sure. I want to make sure we're all on
over
the same
half of our
page.
budget is people,
Right.
because
I'm worried.
that's where the service comes in.
I just want to make sure we're on the same page that
But cutting
I didn't want
people
you to be-
also, like you said, cut service hours. I do believe we would do better because of, you know, once you went through something, you kind of know, like,
Well-
next time we might not be as afraid as we were this time. We might do curbside longer, or do curbside first before we totally close.
you got
You know,
you got some experience
Yeah.
on what to do. Yeah.
but it, yeah.
Okay. Well, I think we're good. Okay. Is there
So you're pretty much
anything else? Y'all
saying-
got a question, Warner? You good?
You're pretty much saying then that if the county, if the city agrees to this, then that's the number.
I feel
you're
pretty
on.
good. We're not voting on anything today, but I feel pretty good about it. I appreciate you dropping the 3% and, you know, the maintenance of effort. I mean, those are the kind of things we're still in you know, you and I've had a phone conversation. When we had our conversation, I felt pretty good where we were. The problem that we're running into is just with the, there's so much guessing at what we're doing. We're guessing on sales tax revenue. We're guessing on, you know, hotel motel tax. We're guessing on everything. So at this point, I'd say we're pretty good, but
I do want to say that in addition to like cutting 3% out of the payroll, we also didn't hire back some employees. I had I've had three employees that have left since the middle of March. One of them was already scheduled to leave. Her last day was the Friday after we closed. The other one was March 31st. He was one of my technology managers, and then Lee Goff, he's working for the county now. He was my other security guard that did the nights and Saturdays. I am not replacing those three people. So like if I had to cut payroll more, it would mean even quite a bit more,
sure.
because
And that's what I want. And I'm doing you a disservice by saying, could that possibly happen? Yes, it could. And I'm not trying to be
Right.
frighten you or anything. I'm just saying, based on the other things that I told you,
Yeah.
that could possibly be the case. I'm not trying to alarm you. I'm just trying to prepare
I'd
you.
rather people be upfront with me, tell me the truth,
You know,
that way.
that's where we are.
You're thinking about stuff and,
Yeah.
you know.
Go ahead, Warren.
If it does come back this fall, it may be more aggressive than was this time, because you already got immune to it, and it may have fought those antibodies
Yeah.
and be more aggressive next time.
It's just that you
Because
just-
a lot of the viruses are like that.
That's what they're predicting.
And you know, of all the county offices, I don't know any other one other than like at the ballpark or something. I don't know if the county funds any stuff like that, but the Parks and Rec, the library is a place where people congregate, so it really makes it difficult for us, you know. And even though today we're doing curbside, it's taken every staff member I've got to do
Sure.
that, because we've got people coming to the door. We put a little intercom out the door. We got people ringing the door intercom. We've got people answering the phones. We got people pulling the hose that people are. I helped them yesterday. One time they keep running hold reports, and I pulled like 6 pages myself. And I mean, there's just, even though we don't have our doors open, we're probably working harder, you know,
Yeah.
because it's all hands on deck. I do appreciate y'all very much.
Hey, no problem.
I know we're going through the pandemic, and I know that's the only reason we're having this conversation, so I do want you to know that I've appreciated all the support y'all have given us
Well,
over the 7 years I've been here.
Thank you very much.
And,
How many years you been here now?
7 years.
It doesn't seem like it's been that long.
I know, 7.5 almost now. It's
That makes
January.
me tired.
Yeah, me too. But I love it. I love what I do, and I do believe we play a very vital role in the community. And when
Yeah.
we do get to reopen, even now, we are allowing computer use by appointment, but we are going to play an even greater role in the period between when we can actually open and if we have to close again, because all these people are coming to us to use the computers
Sure.
and to have help filing out unemployment and all the different assistance. They come to the library for that. And so we're
That's-
gonna be very important. We
That's
are
great.
important.
Dinah, thank you so much.
Thank you. And
Appreciate
when
it.
did you say you're gonna have that conversation?
We're meeting Tuesday morning,
Okay,
so
you
feel
should-
free to call me at your convenience.
Good to see you.
Thank y'all very much.
Okay, thank you. Okay, this is the budget that I've really been looking forward to the whole time. Can't wait. The budget and finance, Karen Bell.
You see a nice
We can
reduction.
cut this 50%.
I think it's already
At
cut like
least.
4.5 or 4, but
Okay, this your moment in the sun, Karen, as I like
started
to
to
say.
say, let's find where we are. Oh, it's already cut 4.5.
Okay, 4.5. Okay,
Yeah, but I will tell you, go back and you can take out the overtime. I had already cut it, but we'll cut it all the way to 0.
okay. That's helpful.
Let's see, what else? Come on down.
Let me ask you this.
Mhm.
I'm just asking I know this is, as we talk about duplicate, I'm talking about forward
Mhm.
thinking. As we talk about duplication of services, what do we need to be preparing for? Let's just say that we have this arrangement with the schools and these other entities, and we say, oh, the accounting, the finance department's gonna be able to take these over or whatever. What kind of plans do we need to make for personnel increases, I guess is what I'm trying
I've
to.
kind of already thought through that. One of the things that I began when I came over here that I don't think really had existed prior to my tenure here was cross-training. And so we've already started working on cross-training so that someone can say, oh, I can only do this. We're overlapping in some areas. And so through doing that, I'm seeing where there can be additional tasks that could be taken over by some staff. Now, of course, we all know that some of the departments that we're looking at for duplication services have specialized things such as grants and federal projects and those types of things. So that probably would, and you and I have even discussed how beneficial perhaps a grant administrator would be for the
Sure.
entire county.
Yeah.
So there are some staff that could take on some additional responsibilities. I don't see increasing the department that much now.
Well,
Except in those specialized
here's
areas,
what
such as
I'm-
a grants administrator.
here's what I'm a little not concerned. Well, I am concerned. I'll just say this. What we've had in the past and with IT, I'll just use IT as an example, when we were trying to integrate more, we're taking money out of budgets
Mhm.
to put into IT budgets. What we were having some, not confusion, I guess the word was, to be able to capture the cost savings.
Mhm.
In other words, it's great when we got, we're saying, well, we're eliminating, but we've got to have a way to be able to capture the cost. I mean, the cost savings, I guess is what I'm trying to say. And that was a very difficult with the IT. And I think we've done much better on that now to be able to say, well, how much money I know Warner brought this up a couple of years ago. How much money do we actually save by doing that? And I think that's the thing as we move forward with this duplication is how are we going to capture that? Let's just say that they eliminate a position at the school, or we integrate, I don't mind saying that, in auditors.
Mhm.
We integrate that. We need to be able to capture that and be able to say, well, we've saved
Well, I
X
mean-
number of dollars by doing this.
Part of that's relatively easy. If you have, one position take on two positions, if you look at salary and benefits, that's a clear cut. Straightforward as far as that goes.
Well, you say it's easy. I would say that it's been challenging
Yeah.
for us.
Some of the savings you anticipate making are not there when
Right.
reality sits in.
That'd be the nice way of putting it. I was trying to be.
I can assure you, I
I was
would
trying
come
to be-
back with some
I was
information.
trying to be
for you.
general. So that's my concern as we move forward with duplication of services. And I think you've done, in all fairness, you've done a great job of identifying where we have those duplications. And as we move forward, we'll be able to capture those. I feel better about it, but I'm wondering, this is the thing we've always struggled with this department is, when Mike was here, is saying, and he wasn't doing any cross training, as you well know, but I've always felt like we were understaffed here to do what was required, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Now,
Well-
I could be wrong about that. Could have been,
I feel very good about the staff that I have at this time. As I've shared with you, I do think the county has a need for a grants administrator, and I will go out one step further.
you want to
with-
go ahead and explain, just take some time since we got some time. Explain to them what we're talking about a grants administrator. I want Ann and Warner to understand that.
Well, I know Mr. Turner's worked with several grants with some of his nonprofit agencies that he's been involved with, but what you have is that each department has grants that they apply for. And one of the things that we saw during my time at the city was everybody likes free money. And that sounds all great and dandy. But many times there are strings attached with it and reporting processes that have to take place. And in some instances, even match requirements that require. And so we do not have a really good process. We've got grants in different departments, but we really don't have a good process as how long is the grant for? How much is the grant for per year and for the life of the grant? Are we filing the program reports, which is how you're using those funds? Are we filing the financial reports timely? Have we received the disbursements that we're entitled to for reimbursement on the expenditures of grants? So really, there should be someone who is monitoring every grant that the county receives as far as have we complied with all of these things?
Okay.
And then also, does it add additional staffing? In some instances, there's additional costs that are incurred by the agency after the grant expires in order to maintain, and you've got requirements such as when the grant ends, you must keep personnel for 2 or 3 years after the period of the grant. And I don't think we're doing a good job of monitoring that
Well,
process.
I'm embarrassed to even ask this question. If you were going to say what's the dollar amount of grants that we have as a county?
I'm embarrassed to say I don't even know because
And
they're so
that's
sprinkled throughout each.
exactly what I
Yeah.
thought. I wasn't trying to put you on the spot, but I'm embarrassed that I don't have a clue about how much grant money that we have for.
I have to say it's a good thing.
Oh, it's
I
very,
mean,
yeah. I mean,
They're also required to record keeping after the grant runs out.
exactly,
So
exactly.
what I'm saying is, I think that's an area that we need to go. Now, what other things? I just went blank. What other things did we talk about personnel wise for a grant administrator? Was there anything else on the personnel side of that was going to save? I can't remember in our conversation. I may be going blank there.
Does the Munis system have a grant module that does most of that for you?
It does if you purchase it.
Oh, really? Okay. I would buy it.
Yes. So anyway,
How much
Um,
is it?
no, I haven't even checked into the price.
Must be extremely high.
Most of their modules are. So we're trying to take what we have and push as much as we can to see if it works. And that's one of the reasons, one of the line items that we have in there is we have been having some assessments of some of our programs. And what that means, or some of our modules, what that means is the county was so quick. We've made the purchase and the staff that were involved with it had to do their day-to-day jobs plus implement a new system at the same time. So there are so many things in Munis that we don't even know exist. So I was able to, because of a very poor implementation on the part of Tyler Technologies, to get some of that free as far as some assessment. I say free, we have to pay the travel cost for someone to come here, but they're actually, the first one that we had was back in February. It was on the financial programs and the general ledger. And they looked at what we were doing and they created an assessment report of where we could go. And my staff people had a chance to come in over the 3-day period to talk about how they were using what they did. And the trainer assessor said, well, did you know you could do this? And, you know, there were several things like, oh, no, we didn't know. And again, not dissing the staff here. It's just they were having to do their jobs as well as implement a new software package in a relatively short period of time, 3 to 6 months, whatever. And so there's a lot of time that they've not had the training or know exactly what the software can do. It's not like they have time to sit around and figure out things, you know, in addition to getting their tasks done. So we've been able to do that. So we've had to pay the travel for that. But this trainer that came in February was here for 4 days. He arrived on Tuesday. He left on Friday. He was here to work with us all day for those days to look at all of the modules that impacted the general ledger. We have another one that we have coming up for free related to our payroll HR system, but we have postponed that assessment until we've completely implement our time and attendance tracking system, ExecuTime. We began that implementation October. We began some test trial rollouts January, February, and we were ready to, I think we've rolled it out to like 4 departments and we were ready to do countywide, and that's when COVID hit. And of course it does require us to do some training with department heads or bring them in. So things have kind of been halted on that. So we have some goals. I meet with my staff people once a month, and they know that I'm a goal setter and we would like to achieve things. But again, in reference to Commissioner Stevenson's answer, I believe there's so many more efficiencies that we as a county could do. I've only been here 9 months at this time, but I firmly believe that the staff that we've got has the ability. And as I shared yesterday, if they don't become part of the team, they don't remain here, because I don't want to do a disservice to county departments.
One of the things we really discussed with the schools yesterday was to try to, try to identify these job descriptions, make sure we got those in line. So then what we can do is, it may be necessary for us to say, hey, I'm going to use the internal auditor as an example. It may be then say, hey, we're going to move that person instead of here. That person could be located over there at the schools. I mean, but doing both jobs. I'm saying it may be for us to eliminate one over here, over there. Information technology. They've got 14 something people. We have 3. That could be something that we need to be looking at to. I think you see, I don't want it to be like what we're getting into is for use of a better phrase, a turf war, where it says, okay, I'm going to guard my turf. I'm going to do whatever it takes to guard my turf. I want to break that turf down and say, okay, this is what's best for us to do. And it may mean that the finance, takes over this, but it may be even like I said on the auditor, hey, that person goes over there or whatever. I mean, I don't want anything to be in granite. We say, well, we're going to do this because that's the way it's always been.
But you're definitely correct in getting a job description of what the person does. Mm-hmm. Because if you're not very careful, if you have a thing that you consolidate 2 jobs, the person that was doing that job gets moved to another job, the cost never goes away, the person goes away.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Well, that's what we're going to move forward. Ray was I felt like Ray was very open to that. And Jason and Mike, I will say this for them, and I totally agree. And I think Karen agrees, and I've had several commissioners actually shoot me a text, but now is the time to address it. Now is the time. If we don't address it now, it's like Jason said, we're never going to do it. Now is the time to address this. So
and last year was the time. The year before last was the time. So we kept pushing it down.
It's so funny on this. Let me just state this, and Karen will laugh about this, I guess. When they had a certain member of the school board that this was about this has been a good while ago, that actually called me on the phone about this. Actually called me about duplication of services, and this person said, it's just like running up against a brick wall. I mean, it's like a brick wall. And so when I delved into it, I just stuck my toe in there, and then I saw, oh, we've got a really, really problem here. I'm trying to do that. And I feel so bad for that person, because they were really vocal about doing it. And it's like, no, that's not how, there was no time, or there was no time to do that, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So it's amazing how ideas get, you implement an idea, and then people first off say, well, that's stupid, that's stupid, that's stupid. And then as you move forward, you go, that has merit, what we're doing. So I just find that pretty interesting. So we're going to move forward on it, and I feel better about it, and I'll quit it.
Are you going to include all the departments in it?
All the departments? To be honest with you, I hadn't really thought that far ahead, Warner. I mean, we're basically talking about the duplication and Karen's identified those. I feel pretty good about it. I mean, I haven't expanded it to that. I mean, we're talking about maintenance. We're talking about IT. We're talking about human resources. We're talking about
like the sheriff department, school.
Right. Well, yeah, we have identified that, but I thought you meant like other departments. But no, we haven't had any issue identifying those at all. So that's not been a real problem there.
I guess my question was, we have identified, but are you going to push, try to have all those included?
Right, we are. And the thing is what we're trying to do is what we strayed away from is we strayed away from the 1981 Financial Act. We strayed from that. And we're trying to get that back under everything under that umbrella,
okay,
I guess, so to speak. And that's where we're, but you have a difficult time. Like I said earlier, you've got an elected official that are, you got some turf battles there that you're going, well, this would be advantageous for us to do. So that's the challenge, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. The thing is I'll say one more thing and then we'll take a break. But the thing is to identify, and Karen and I've had this conversation, to identify which duplication would be the easiest one to start with. When I say easiest one to start with, one that would be, oh, so we can identify, like what I said earlier. Oh, we're doing this. We captured these costs. Hey, this has been a good thing. It makes it easier to move on to the second most difficult one, the third most difficult one, and the last one of all. And look at it that way, and then you go, okay, I could see the benefit, and once people start seeing the benefits of it, then we'll have a little more progress, hopefully. So,
You
go
only
ahead.
have one other one.
Yeah, I tell you, are they here?
It's Jackson Downtown Development.
Like,
Doug
yeah.
Roth, is he coming? I mean,
I think they said they'll come. Why don't we
Yeah.
take a break for about 5 minutes, okay? We'll just take a break and we will be returning. We had certain people that wanted to take a break. Very good. Thank you.
You're unmuted.
Okay, I'm unmuted. Okay, we're over our break here and, we have Jackson Downtown Development here, Matt Altobelli. I did that good, didn't I? And we have Lee, I'm sorry, Lee Wilson, very good. Okay, here's what I'm gonna do first here, and we're gonna go from there. Nothing's in granted here, okay? I don't want you to think, well, we came in, made our presentation, and this is where we are. I mean, things could change all the way till June 30th. I mean, somebody might say, hey, we want to do this and whatever. Our job is to present the budget to the commission, and then the commission says, well, yay or nay, or we want to make changes. So that's what our job is. Just want to make you aware, and I think I spoke to you earlier about this, Matt, Lee. Here's what our situation is. What we're doing on sales tax revenues is we cut those back from 100% down to about 75%. Are we being too optimistic on that? I've had several people say, yes, you are. That's sort of where we are. So that's a significant amount of money. What would we determine that was that amount of money is, or was it not?
What?
The-
25%.
Cut 25%. Was it 9 million? Was it 9 million?
Yeah.
9 million. That's what I thought it was. Then we've got hotel motel that we cut 50%. That's, I don't know what that number is, but that's pretty significant. And then business tax license, and I'm sure you're seeing that with Jackson Downtown Development. Are you concerned? I'm just going to ask you this question. We're concerned with Jackson. I'm talking about in Tennessee. They're going to be losing 75,000 businesses is what we've been determined. What are you seeing, Matt, on anything from the downtown side of this, I guess?
So far, from everything, all the conversations I've had, folks are weathering it, and still holding on. Most of the restaurants either scaled back to take out and were able to cut costs but stay alive. So I haven't heard of too much yet that's adverse in downtown. I know the effects of this are still developing, but at this point, I mean, downtown's a pretty resilient tribe, and I think it's still holding together pretty well right now.
Okay.
The biggest problem we have after you get started with restaurants, motels and all, is people gonna be very slow to go back,
Sure.
get to a point that they were when it all started.
I think that one of the benefits that we have downtown is that most of what we have is local.
Yes.
And local businesses tend to have more committed tribes that follow them and are more eager to jump in and help them get through the tough times. So the restaurants we have downtown have been doing pretty well and having some solid carry-out business. And then we also have owners that are there on site who've been really innovative with how they've approached everything and have been pretty successful.
What would you say before all this turns south, I guess, what would you say would be one or two of the brightest spots of things that have happened in the last year with Jackson Downtown?
Sure. Well, you mind if I hand out
You just go right ahead.
and there's actually a little,
Thank you.
And you didn't even prep me on that. I just did. Okay, very good.
and I'm short one, so I have to get you one back there. I'm sorry.
I'll give her mine. I'll give her mine because I'll get it back.
If you would, take a moment and check out our face mask, because my mother-in-law made these for you.
Oh,
And
she
if you
did.
unfold it,
nice.
it's got a little,
Madison County.
so, to make a little bit of lemonade out of the lemons. with all-
Cheers for Evelyn.
That's right, and she
And
made,
you didn't even prep me on this.
Well,
I
I
just-
said,
did you know that?
These are really
Say
nice.
Jackson Downtown.
she made us a pair of downtown ones, but, y'all enjoy those. These are high quality. She and my wife both are turning them out and giving them away. But that aside, if you check out the packet, so Commissioner Stevenson, in your, to answer your question, if we look at the homes that have been built, and this is not just the last 12 months, but this is in Jackson Walk. There have been 45 homes built on the campus of Jackson Walk since its inception. The average sale price in those homes is $188,000. The projected tax revenue for the county, just for those houses, that's nothing else in downtown, that's no sales tax, that's not rock and or grubs. The projected sales, property tax revenue for the county on those houses is $45,690. those parcels sit on less than 1/10 of an acre. So those 45 homes comprise less than 5 acres. That makes the average value of an acre about $1.7 million, which, you know, I'd say is pretty good for our part of the world. If you look at 10 years ago versus now, those same lots, a lot appraised $5,000. They're selling between $20,000 and $30,000 a lot now. Those abandoned homes were appraising for about $20,000, and as you can see, the average sale price of those homes is about 10 times that now. So, so we're thrilled about that. You know, I think that is proof that the community is responding to the downtown experiment. That the downtown experiment is working, and not only in the pie in the sky social ways that we love, but also in a real economic way. You know, that's taking historically underutilized infrastructure. You know, it doesn't take a lot of new infrastructure. JEA doesn't have to build a new power plant to power homes downtown, you know, whereas you push out into the suburbs, you know, we got to keep investing, and, you know, what if we have to raise taxes, we have to raise utility bills to do that. So repurposing, redeveloping our infrastructure is actually smart and fiscally responsible investment. So we feel great about that. I would say the most significant project is a little thing we've done called The Local. You may have seen, it's across the street from the farmer's market. It's the 3 little shops. If anyone remembers what that corner looked like 3 years ago, it was not pretty. It's a very prominent corner in downtown, and it just, I believe it had been, a building had been hit by a tornado in 2003 and had never been redeveloped. It was you know, pretty ugly. We built 3 shops. They launched in 2017, kicked off with 100% occupancy. 4 businesses launched out of there. Another was temporarily housed there. So we've had 5 businesses occupy space at The Local. All of those businesses, 100% of them, are still in operation and have moved on to permanent storefronts. So that's 5 businesses that did not exist and would not exist but for that program. And, you know, of course, those are revenue generating. They're occupying spaces that were previously vacant. We're now talking to the next class of tenants. We've had 1 lease signed already. I'm confident in the next 60 days, we'll probably have 100% commitment on all the shops there. So that, you know, given the crazy time we're in, which I know you're all, you know, you all know better than I do, we're proud that we have this program that is designed specifically to create a low overhead situation for somebody to be able to run their business. You know, the rent on these things is very affordable. And it's basically a way to cut all the costs you can out so that anybody who wants to run a business give it an honest go if their idea is viable. Another project that I'm excited about, if I can talk about the next 12 months, I don't want to jump ahead.
Go ahead.
We actually have secured a grant in the state of Tennessee to take this concept, the low overhead retail concept, and apply it to food. So we're going to create a commercial kitchen incubator in downtown. And if someone has a dream of running a restaurant, they'll be able to rent the kitchen on an hourly, daily basis, inexpensively, and try their concept out, build their menu, build their brand. There's also going to be an educational component where a whole panel of experts will educate from insurance, health codes, everything that I wish I knew, not me, but a restaurateur would say, I wish I knew when I started out.
Sure.
Basically, it's a way for.
Now, where's that going to be located, Matt? Where y'all look?
We haven't signed anything. We're currently talking to Community Cafe because they are open 11 to 2 Monday through Friday, and that's it. So, you know, their space is underutilized. It's a beautiful space. It's missionally oriented with what they're doing.
Sure.
Outreach. And if I can tell you where the idea came from, I was at the International Food and Art Festival, which, you know, I'm sure you're all familiar with. And I was looking around. It's like there are 50 countries you can eat from today. And of course, you can't eat them all. But if you don't get to eat from the Trinidad food, you got to wait till next year. It's like, think of all this culinary talent and all this interesting potential we have here. And we celebrate it for one day, and then we go back to Outback after that. I don't mean anything against Outback.
Sure, I understand.
But I mean, you know, there's opportunity there, and what can we do to maybe enable some of these people to be able to put their stamp down and create something? So we're working right now. We're working with a few local chefs, including Jennifer Dickerson from Chandelier. If y'all know Chandelier, you know she knows what she's doing. She and a couple of others are actually helping us craft the program. It's going to be an exhaustive program. And the whole thing is to take somebody who wants to see what they can do there, but, you know, they don't want to sink $250,000 or they don't have it, because, you know, you can spend all the money you want starting a restaurant. With this, you know, incredibly low startup cost, and, you know, if it works, there's more support and it can grow, scale as needed. Really minimizing the risk of failure, or at least the risk of losing anything. So we're super excited about that. I would say that's a significant thing we're looking at. We're continuing the local and then adding this kitchen element. I think that those are very exciting.
Okay. Well, here's what we've done. We've cut it down to 7,500, and I'm not saying that we're going to keep that. That's where we are right now. And like I told you earlier, this could change in a heartbeat, but that's where we are based on our circumstances. I love what y'all are doing. I think we're making progress, and Matt, you've done a great job on this. I'm concerned. I'll look you in the eye and tell you I'm concerned that we're going to keep that 7,500. It may go down to 0. I'm not being ugly. I'm just stating a fact. And that could possibly change. So that's where we are.
May I ask
Okay.
Is it all right if I ask?
Yeah, go ahead.
Do you know if any of these businesses, especially the food business, are preparing in such a way that they can prepare meals for people to take home and freeze? Because there's a lot of emphasis, if you watch national news, about the need for people to be able to do that, especially when they're quarantined and they're getting used to staying at home. I think they're enjoying it to some extent. Maybe those that don't have children, they need to get out more. But
Anything else we need to?
but anyway, do you know if any of them are planning on doing anything like
Well,
that?
so that is certainly one of the concepts. This program is actually, we've secured the grant, as I said, from the state of Tennessee. We've not enacted the program yet. We actually, in light of everything that's happened, we kind of pumped the brakes just a little bit. We got the money committed, and if anything, it bought us a little time to make sure we've got the program put together well. But that is certainly one of the concepts. We've got probably a half dozen potential uses from catering, like use for a commissary kitchen, to actually having a pop-up mini restaurant, and then what you're talking about, like a take-home, take and bake. Or
They
whatever.
they certainly do seem to be focusing on that in some of the larger cities and different. Have you noticed that?
It's a matter of taste.
That's right. That's right.
You got matter of taste too.
That's right.
And it's gone now.
Yeah, it's gone.
But that restaurant there is
I
just,
think the number of potential uses for it is very high, and thus the number of people potentially impacted is also very high.
Okay, guys, thank y'all so much. Thank you for the mask and everything.
Well, I hope those are useful for you.
Appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
Lee, very nice to
And
meet
we'll-
you.
The one thing that I would add is that for us and where we're at in our overall budget, that the money we get from the county is essential for us.
Oh, I understand exactly what you're saying. I mean, I think part of our, let me be very candid with you. What we had done when we had broke this out of nonprofits, and then we moved this separate, because I felt like it needed to be moved separate, because I felt like it really tied into tourism and those kind of things. The problem that we have is with, we're going to cut nonprofits, which it looks like we are, then it looks like we're going to, you understand what I'm saying? I mean, we can't really show favoritism and say, hey, we're going to do one and then not do. I mean, that's going to come back and bite us. So we have to be across the board. But I understand, and that's what I said earlier. I feel very strongly about what you're doing. I mean, it's just one of these situations we have really no control over.
Yeah, I don't bring that up as a point of animosity or.
I understand that. I mean, it's not, it doesn't hurt. Hey, I sit here the whole time. I get a lot of animosity, so don't worry about it.
Well, none from us. I mean, I think we've shown tremendous.
You can see
No,
my
y'all
face
did
smiling.
But I want y'all to keep coming back. Not a problem. And give us some good success stories next year.
You said earlier, most of ours is local business, local users, local people coming in to eat now. If you go out north, go down south one on Friday night, you see tons of cars coming into Jacksonville. I mean, and on the bypass, it's all the way back to Mount. Cars coming down Friday.
And my theory on that is, I think I think we're on the 5-yard line to get those people downtown. And I tell you why, we've got people who drive in from Union City, they're doing the heavy lifting, they're driving an hour, but the only thing they know about is Chili's, you know, because.
Right, they don't know about it.
And so, you know, that's one of our, one of the core things we're going for is to help market these small folks who, you know, if people get a taste, I think they'll come back.
Right.
Rockin' is a great example of that, you know. You go look at the license plates, the Rockin' parking lot sometime, you'll see, you know, you'll see other states.
Sure.
You know, Grove's Grocery, people come in. And so, you know, those two have managed to kind of transcend downtown and have a regional awareness, and, you know, getting that for the other folks downtown is kind of our goal. So I think we can hang with anybody in town as far as quality and consistency, and probably beat just about anybody in town. It's just, you know, the challenge the little guy has in getting his name out there.
Hard sell you guys is that downtown went for years, nothing
That's
downtown
right.
come to. So people started going to the outside.
Yeah.
They didn't have to come down to the center of the apple.
Yeah. And I was, in my experience, if we can get them to set foot down there, their mind has changed. If we can get them to come to one Ant concert, you know, or we started showing movies at the Ned, you know, and we get them to come watch Casablanca or something that you can't, you know, it changes their mind instantly, you know.
Let's give them more.
It's not downtown that it was in, you know, 1988.
No.
And then you got the farmer's market.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, that draws a lot of people down there.
Yeah.
Just, I guess, on.
Guys, we got to move on here.
Yeah,
I'm
thank you
sorry.
so much.
Thank y'all.
I'll keep you here all day.
Appreciate it. That's okay.
Appreciate
Lee, very nice to meet you.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you for.
Thank you, guys.
Yes,
Sure.
thank you for the mask.
Okay. Here's where we are, guys. We're gonna, I wanna go, just as we finish up, what we're gonna end up doing is we're gonna have another meeting. I'll wait and get with Stacy, and we're gonna have another meeting with, and probably our next step is to get some of these approved. I'm not,
Mr. Chairman, may I share something that I just received?
you just go right ahead.
I had reached out to the state again last night about a continuation budget, because you heard the school system say, why can't you? And I had told you that I've had numerous phone calls with them, but I reached out again last night on behalf of this committee just to ask. And this is the Division of State and Local Finance. And here's what she says. We do not have any idea what the legislature is going to do regarding maintenance of effort requirements. I will let you know as soon as I know anything. And yes, we are strongly encouraging budget adoption by June 30th. However, if your governing body has good reason that you can plead your case to wait until August and to operate under a continuation budget, we are open to look at that. But it is in our recommendation that governments adopt a budget and proceed with operations.
So in other words, they're saying business as usual.
That's what they'd like to see.
They like to see it because they know if they let them pull back this year,
Mhm.
some people are going to want to do it next year and the following year.
And the thing that I would state is, under our authority as a county, we can do a continuation budget to August 31st. It's still not going to help with projected revenues. With the 2 months behind, you're still going to be at June 30th with your data. So what we're doing here as a committee, as you are looking at the budgets, is operating on what we estimate. And again, August 31st, we would have no more data on estimations for FY
You got to go
'21.
to September, October.
I wanted to share that before the committee
So
dispersed
who will
today.
make that decision? The commissioners?
Well, I guess part of our real problem on that is I would assume the county commission would make that decision. The problem that we're running into on that is, as of yesterday, was, you know, if they drag their feet with the schools and just say, oh, we're not gonna be able to get you the budget till June 8th or whatever. That's why I wanted us to get as much approved as possible, and that way then we can just knock this thing out. Now we're going to keep their feet to the fire, so to speak, because I'm sort of like Karen is. I mean, we put in all this work. And I think we've made some good ultra conservative kind of guesstimates. Let's just go ahead and do it, and then for use of a better phrase, let the chips fall where they may. I mean, we just have to work with what we got and do that. Now, we still got several other questions still about some things. So one of the big things is for us to decide on certain budgets, if they have not cut the 3%, and I think you know who I'm referring to, is that we need to go ahead and make that call and do that moving on. But what I wanted you to see, I'm gonna let Michelle pull that up. I'm really wanting us to see where we were with revenues and with expenditures on the general fund at this point. And the reason why I want to say that is so you can see, and Karen, I'd like for you to make a comment on this, where we've seen the increase. You may make a comment on that, and then on the, and what we still have to look at, I guess, a little bit. I didn't prep you on that, but I think.
I mean, one of the biggest, and you've heard this from several departments as they come in, is, and it's an uncontrollable increase, is the benefits. We had an increase with our stop loss insurance, and we had an increase with our medical admin insurance. And of course, that is passed on to each department to go along with their benefits for medical insurance. So as you've seen, several of them come in saying, well, I thought I turned in a 3% decrease. The benefits was not calculated. That's calculated once their budget arrives at finance. So that's one of the increases.
Let me ask you this. Where would
certainly.
you say the revenue increases? We got 807 increase in revenue. Where's that basically coming from? From what now?
The penny allocation for the tax
Penny
revenue.
allocation. Okay, very good. Okay.
I think you had a pretty big grant in there too.
Yeah, there
Right.
is
I
a
thought we
grant
had a
for the-
grant in there, but I
for
wasn't
the
sure.
sheriff's department.
Right. Okay. So we got that. Now we have increased the pennies a little bit. We can look at that here in just a second. But we did that yesterday after, not very much, but we did a little bit. Okay, let's go down to the expenditure. So we got 44,889 on that. And where are we here? And we're still got a difference there of about, 1.1 million. But like Karen said, 3.86% increase, but most of that, I would say the majority of it is stop loss and benefits and all those kind of
And
things.
keep in mind, this does include the grant expenses. We'll be
Right.
glad to go back and take the grants out of revenue and expenses so you can see the raw data where you are.
Well,
with
let's do
expenses.
that if you don't mind. I know you'll do that.
Yeah, we'll go
That
back
way
and do
we'll-
that.
We'll have
Can
that.
you do
That'll
that
be,
and then put
You
the
can do it right
grants in a
Well, I mean, just take out the
spreadsheet
dollar
and
amount.
we can see both of them?
yeah. Hey, Karen, I think
I'm
she
sorry.
said,
You can, when you take that out, it's just put the grants in one spreadsheet and the other.
Yeah, I
in-
think Michelle thinks
You
that she can do it right now.
I mean, I can do the dollar amount.
Okay.
You can
Okay,
do
that
what
would be
now?
awesome.
Explain to me what loss employee, stop loss.
Stop loss is where our medical insurance covers up to a certain amount, and if it reaches that threshold, we have stop loss insurance that will pay for those claims above that dollar.
right
amount.
now we have 2 claims that are very, very extraordinary.
Mhm.
And that's why our stop loss has gone. I would say that
Too
would
many
be,
zeros.
We didn't
I
have.
may be misstepping, but
Yeah.
we have anything over, I think it's
That's the biggest
100,000, I
one.
think. And that kicks in, but
It's kind of like the gap.
Make sure that
Okay.
they
I
go
guess that'd be a nice way.
one,
of
five,
paying it.
one, 3, 400.
Umbrella. Yeah, okay.
And
Um,
some companies do call it stopgap
Yeah.
Okay.
instead of
Right.
stop loss, but
Yeah.
that's basically what it is.
Yeah, so that's why that's been, because we've had 2 extraordinary,
Mhm.
I think at our last meeting it was.
Well, that's not something that was in place when I was here before, was it? I don't remember
Yes,
that
yes, it was.
terminology.
Yeah, maybe not that terminology, but it's
Okay.
been in place for a pretty good while.
Okay.
I think we may have
Mhm.
upped it. We may have upped it, but I can't remember, not a significant amount.
Yeah, we're still paying for the employees' insurance,
Right.
but if they
We've
sign
had a
up,
little change of that, though,
Okay.
maybe on the percentages we've had. I think it was last year or we had the employees. The employees could answer that better than I can. I can't remember what the percentage is of what we did.
well, they're very fortunate because that's gone away in
No kidding.
so many places, particularly in these big corporations paid it.
No
I
kidding.
know personally experienced that. That was a joke.
I know that.
But what we're gonna plan on doing is, I will let you know when we're gonna meet again, and we're.
Oh, we're out? This is it?
This is it.
What about the capital hearings?
Capital hearings, what they're gonna do today, the meeting,
You have a-
we've
That's not for
already,
us.
I do.
Okay, I'm gonna take
That's
them
for
all.
you.
we've already given them direction on what to do. And, we've got a minimal amount of money that they're gonna be using. They're actually not even seeing any departments today. It's like, that's already,
The hearings were canceled, but the committee is having a meeting.
yeah,
I see.
yeah, the committee's meeting. Just
they
to
do
let them
need to
know
get
where we are.
prepared before-
Karen's gonna inform them about the grant, I guess, and some things like that, but it's pretty straightforward. I mean, it's, we could just do what we gotta do. But I wanted y'all to see these revenues without the grants and all that. Thank you, Michelle,
Okay, did
for
you,
doing that.
without the grants, was the numbers good that I wrote down? Without the, okay. Expenses would be at 44,566,645, and the revenues would be at 43,376,413, which is a difference of about $1,190,241 between revenue and expenses.
Not to do good.
Not to the good, no, unfortunately, not to the good. If it was, we'd
Now,
all be.
let
dancing.
me just ask you this, so I'm sorry, just not be confused. Have you taken on the expenses, have you taken the sheriff's budget? What are you currently showing the sheriff's budget to be?
This is based on last year's budget.
Is that, or is that based on this year's budget? The expenses? I'm sorry.
Is it based on his submitted or his last year?
Last year.
22,218.
Okay, it's based on what the
It's-
budget committee gave
But-
you, more or less.
Correct, the 22,218,000.
I remember that.
The only thing we added in was.
We're gonna take a break.
We take a break. Okay.
So, Ann, I want to show you this tax rate sheet
Okay.
here in just a second, if I'm unmuted now. Okay, thank you. I want to show you this tax rate sheet. Go down to the bottom, Michelle, please. What we did, we changed this. Well, it's going to be changed. We changed it to from 22 to up to 228. Now, the number that came in that they gave me was 232,000, but with the delinquency and everything, and John talked about that this morning. I feel like we're being very, very conservative
Thank you, sir.
on, I mean, we could, I feel like we're gonna really be achieving more revenue. Maybe I'm overly optimistic on more revenue, like on sales tax and these kind of things. I feel really good about that. I didn't want to go too far afield on this, I guess is what I'm trying to say. But I feel good that we're gonna get through this and we're gonna move forward, and we could see this kind of, a V kind of spike kind of thing. But it's, I don't want us to do anything that's gonna, I want us to be as John said earlier, I want us to be as transparent as possible. This is where we are, this is what we're gonna do. So I think that's the right the right play there. So, Karen, did you have any more comments before we adjourn?
No, I mean, you guys have asked for several questions to be answered, so we'll seek out that information. We do need confirmation of if you want cuts to be made to others.
Right.
I just need some direction from the budget committee on what you want us to do, and we'll be more than happy to go back and work with those departments and put a document together again so you can reconvene and determine where you want to go.
What we're going to do is, like we've done in the past, we'll just go down budget by budget, and there may still be some questions. You say, well, I really don't understand this, or whatever. But then what I'd like to do is just go down and, like we've done in the past, is just approve them. Let's prove as many of them as we can. I know June 1st, we're not here in the schools till June 1st, but I'd like to get everything almost done. I think that'll help this situation. So I don't see us not having a problem in meeting in the next, about a week or so, something like that. Maybe I'm not gonna pick a day yet. I'm gonna wait and make sure that y'all got your covered. But probably not next week, but the first of the following week. Okay, is that okay? What day would that be?
The 25th or the 29th.
Okay, let's
That's the last week of May.
No, he was saying the week of May 18th.
Yeah.
Oh, he's wanting. Okay.
yeah,
Yeah.
let's go ahead and do something on that week of May 18th.
Okay, so the 18th is county commission.
Okay, we can't meet that day. I'll be.
But the 19th through the 22nd is open.
Okay, let's plan on meeting the 19th at Stacy, make sure you send me a little thing.
That's on a Tuesday, correct?
Yeah,
Yes,
we'll just
ma'am.
meet on Tuesday, and let's plan on 9 o'clock.
Okay.
And we should, we'll not, that'll help us get all this done. And I know Warner's probably got some kind of big vacation plan that he's planning on taking me on. So I'm really want him to get that together. And,
No, we're agreed on lunch, not vacation.
oh, whatever. I kept pushing it, didn't I? But that way, I think you see our plan. I mean, is there anything else that y'all need to add on that? I think that's really,
Well, there is one thing. Are we live?
yes, we are.
Okay, well, that's okay. Looking at what we were talking about yesterday afternoon, the schools, like the audit department that they have, and seems like there was another department, and then our audit department, and then the audit department sheriff. So it's looking at all of those together. And I believe it's indicated that we do have job descriptions for each of those jobs.
I do have all of the school system's job descriptions. Yes, ma'am.
And so we could easily compare them to what Billy's doing. And he doesn't have any help, does he?
No, ma'am.
Okay. And then the sheriff's.
Right. What's going to need to take place on this? This is going to be I foresee this as, and I'm trying to be as optimistic as I can on this. I don't see this as anything that we can even implement this year. I'll just be perfectly honest with you. I don't see that happening. I see it as much as we would like to implement things. There may be some that we could implement, but but I think getting these descriptions together, it's going to be a lot of talking back and forth about, hey, we can do this and do that.
I will be more than happy to, the areas that you discussed, I think throughout the week and particularly yesterday was audit, finance, accounting, maintenance,
IT,
and then you mentioned the garage. I'll be.
Human resources too, right?
Human resources. I will be more than happy to reach out for the ones that I do not have. I do have the finance ones from the school system. But I'll be happy to reach out and see if I can have that information for you on May the 19th when you reconvene from each of the departments so that you can review those.
one of the things, I don't know if you sent this to them. I know you sent it to me, and of course it's not in my folder there. But what you need to do is, I'd like for her to send y'all the current salaries for all those people.
Yes, that's very important.
And that way then you can say, oh, we've got X number of dollars of what we've identified as duplication of services. I think you're going to be really.
Is there a way you can include length of time they've been here? Because then you can really see a variation in.
Sure.
I mean, right now I'm thinking that might be an important part of the equation. It may not be worth a thing, but if you're pulling data now and you can get that data, then that will help.
Yes, ma'am.
Don't you think?
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
Warner?
I always say this every year, but I'll say it one more time. We had mentioned at least twice, and not 3 times, we're gonna totally cut out nonprofits. And I can see why, because it's cutting a lot of other things. But if we cut nonprofits 160,000, city probably gonna follow suit and come 160,000, because they usually do whatever the county does. That's 320,000 cutting out of nonprofits. Looks good on paper, but on the other side of it is, we're gonna have people that jobs are gonna disappear. It's natural in this community. That's gonna put more pressure on the nonprofit than ever had before. Because more people are gonna be turning to alcohol, gambling, and everything else, trying to get more money. But there's gonna be a lot more pressure put on, especially on some of the select nonprofits than I've ever seen before.
I totally agree. I'm not in.
So if
Not
any way in the
disagreeing.
world we can give them anything, it's gonna be appreciated, I know.
The current budget that you just saw with your expenditures has 0 in for
We have
nonprofits.
0 in there and
No, we've mentioned that several times.
Okay.
That's what you're bringing it up.
Yeah.
Anything at all we can put in there, I know that they'll need.
well, that's up for discussion, like with this downtown development thing. I think that's still up to discussion. I mean, I don't feel real good about giving them money and then not giving any to nonprofits.
And does
So,
he still go through and get, because he applied for nonprofit?
not that I'm aware of, because he said, I asked him specifically where he gets his money from. He gets some money from the city, and then he gets some money from corporate contributions. But their budget, entire budget's only, he's been running about $85,000.
Well, the first year he came, he missed the nonprofit.
Well, he did turn it in.
And then turn it in, but it was a series of really misfortunate non-communication to him. And I tried my best to help him get it in there, but the committee as a
See, the
whole.
problem is, Warner, that, I'm not being a problem. Joey Hale's in charge of the nonprofits, number one. Number two, he's doing a different, of course, they had a flood of applications come in that were after the fact. So I think at the time that, he actually extended it to like a month and a half. And they only had like 6 applications when they were due. So I've talked to him once about this, but like I said, everything's up in the air. I mean, we can.
The other aspect that I did not mention on is, most nonprofits use the city and county money, match money, to go to the state to get grants. And that's only 1/4 of it. In other words, they can go out and get an 80% grant, come down, and use the 20% of city and county.
We talked about that.
You know, one thing that I remember that they were gonna do, and this may be the reason that some have cut out applying, is that they still didn't have their classification for nonprofit. They were still just thinking they did, but when you really got down to it and
Right.
verified it, we found that there were some that did not.
Yeah.
So that may have added, and then some know that they're not gonna get it, so why apply?
Yeah, that's right. Okay. Do I hear, I guess we're done here. Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
I so move.
Ann White,
Second.
Warner Turner seconds. Let's have a roll call, please. Warner Turner,
Yes.
Ann White,
Yes.
Doug Stevenson, yes. Okay, thank y'all very much, and we'll see you back on May 19th.